Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim, and our guest today is Julie. So Julie, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do for a living.
Hello, Dan. Thank you so much for having me on Think Big. I'm Julie Hruska. I'm a certified high-performance coach, strategist, and trainer coming to you from Asheville, North Carolina today.
Awesome. So what does that mean? Certified high-performance coach and trainer. Can you just explain for our audience, like what exactly that means?
Yeah, great question. So in a boiled down version, I basically am a big problem solver. So I come in, I help you identify where you are versus where you want to be. And then we create a high performing strategy to get you there. And so what that may look like is looking at the limiting beliefs that hold you back, looking at the habits that are not helpful and productive, looking at the mindset and the skill set that you need to reach your next level of success, mostly in career. But as we all know, if you are struggling in your relationships with your health or with your finances, that's going to take away from your career. So I see it as a holistic process because we really take you from where you are to where you want to be in all aspects of your life. So that's the coach part. And then I also do high performance training. And in that, it's all about creating high performing cultures where employees are engaged, the organization is energized, and everybody is functioning at their optimal levels. I know it sounds ideal, but it can happen, working toward a common vision.
For sure. So in terms of the individuals or organization that you typically work with, is like a certain, vertical, or I guess like who's like an ideal customer for you?
When I first started, it was all founders and CEOs. I wanted to work at the top level because the ripple effects. I was like, if you want to change an organization, if you want to have a tremendous impact, you go to the top. Through that, I realized that with executive teams, working with one person can create a lot of disharmony because now they're performing at their optimal levels, but their team isn't. So that's how I got into the team coaching and training. So ideally, I'm working with high-level executives and C-suite. But over the past few years, during the pandemic, I got active on LinkedIn, and so many different types of people from different industries started coming my way. So I try to be open-minded if they're really willing to commit, because high performance coaching is not for the weak at heart. It's for people who truly want results and who truly want to change. So I've been more open-minded, but still, I would say 95% of my clients are high-level execs and C-suite.
For sure. So obviously it varies depending on industry, but is it like a certain company size or location? Like what did those things look like for you?
It's fascinating. I have a huge market in the Northeast. So from Maine down to like DC, Philadelphia area, 95% of my clients are there. Then I have a few down in Florida. I ventured over to the Midwest, like Chicago, Wisconsin, but interestingly enough, even though a lot of people assume I'm from California based on my appearance, I've not had any clients past Denver and Texas. Like it's all that center line and over. So I don't know. I don't do that on purpose, but typically I'm very much central time zone and East Coast. I've also worked with clients in Canada. I have clients right now in Canada and Europe.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, definitely in Texas, here in Austin, where I live, there's a lot of people that are trying to improve themselves and maximize their performance. So, for a CEO, right? Obviously, I'm a CEO, to be, at a maximum high level of performance. Like, what does that look like in your opinion?
I really look at it as having freedom. It's freedom of lifestyle. It's freedom of choice. It's the financial and career freedom to live life on your own terms. So when I define high performance, it's looking at your ultimate vision. Like, Dan, what's your ultimate vision for your life? What do you want to be doing? Where do you want to be? How do you want to feel? What's the impact you want to make? And then we kind of reverse engineer from there.
Makes sense. But I guess like if you're working with a team, right? So like the same cadence for everybody on the team, like the CEO, the CTO, the CMO, like obviously they have different roles. So how do you kind of work, with these different folks in like in parallel, you could say?
Right. So when I'm working with a team, we start with vision. You have to have everybody aligned and bought into the same vision. So you want to co-create that with your team. So with an executive team, it's like it doesn't matter where you've been because that's the past. Where are we going? What is it all about? What are the next 3 to 5 years looking like? And from there, we create this collaborative vision after the vision is created. And it all starts with the leader, of course. Whoever I'm working with creates their vision, then they take it to the executive team. They give their feedback. What do I like? What do I not like? They discuss it, then they co-create that vision. From there, they have to go get buy-in from employees. Because if you don't have buy-in from employees, it's not going to work. Doesn't matter how amazing a leader is, if nobody is following him or her, they're not really leading. And so we go from creating the vision to creating a plan for buy-in. After that, you go into a strategic plan for empowerment. After people buy in, you want them to know what's their role in this vision. Like, what specifically do you need to do this month, this quarter, this year to help the company achieve this amazing vision?
For sure. And I'm sure that you probably get some pushback sometimes from folks or employees. So when you do have that, what does that look like and how do you handle it?
Yeah, so there's always pushback. Change is not comfortable for a lot of people. And I tell the leaders I work with, I always tell CEOs, I'm like, look, are you comfortable losing some people? And nobody really wants that if they've created a company they're very proud of. But the reality is there's always some attrition. So you have to be willing to lose maybe 8 to 10% of your staff on an executive team. So if you have a team of 10, right? You might lose a person, or you might have such an amazing vision and create such an empowering environment that people, they might be a little resistant at first, but once they realize that they're going to bring their unique ability to the vision and they're going to be a part of co-creating something incredible, then you get more buy-in. So there is a little pushback at first. I get a lot of, who does she think she is? Here I come in, right? I'm brought in usually by the CEO to an executive team that's typically been working together for a long time. And I'm somebody that they don't really know. So there's always a bit of like, who do you think you are and what do you think you're doing? But the great thing about facilitating is I'm not putting my ideas on them. I'm not telling them how to run their company. I'm facilitating and bringing out the best within each one of them. I'm creating a safe place for them to share their thoughts, to dream big, and then create a strategic plan to get from where they are to where they want to be.
For sure. So obviously COVID has changed a lot. So I'm curious, like in the past, if you were going in person, if you still go in person, or even if the companies that you're working with, if you ever work with fully remote companies, like as opposed to folks that have an office, like what does that look like for you and your business?
I love in person. But you're absolutely right. The reality is that most companies are not willing to fly me in every time they want to meet with me. So before COVID happened, I was already working on Zoom with my European clients and my Canadian clients, and a lot of my clients in the Northeast. I spend a lot of time in person in Manhattan, and people will come to me there. But overall, about 95% of my work with individuals and with corporate groups is on Zoom.
For sure. So before COVID, it was still like, what was a breakdown before COVID in terms of percentage just compared to now, like at 95%?
Yeah, it was still very much for me. I've always been a very online business because I live in Asheville, North Carolina. Asheville, North Carolina is very popular with hippies, retirees. It's not a thriving metropolis for high performance. People come here to relax and to be laid back. So based on that, I will be here for 2 more years, depending on when people listen to this. I'm here until 2026. And so because of that, I've always needed to operate that way. But my favorite thing to do is offsite trainings. So that's when I've had the phone calls, I've had the Zoom conversations with leadership. We create a 1 to 2 day, sometimes a week long intensive training for the executive teams. And then we all fly to an incredible location and we meet there and I facilitate there. And that's the best. So I've always done that from the beginning of my business and I still do that. And I did that during COVID. That might seem controversial to some people, depending on who your listeners are, though you live in Texas. So I think I'm in good company here. I think during COVID, almost all of my clients were very happy and very comfortable with me flying in and facilitating meetings. So I did that. I actually got COVID on the first time I flew in May of 2020, but I was okay.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So I'm always curious, right? Because we're in like in the tech space, and it's like you mentioned that like before the call that you use some technology with your website and some video. So I'm curious, kind of like how do you use technology in general in your business? Like obviously, besides Zoom, if you're using AI for your business, yeah, I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, great question. So I used to do a lot of videos and I used technology with all the apps, to edit the videos, to put the subtitles on, the closed captioning, a lot of that. I love some of the fun things you can do now with pictures because I do a lot on LinkedIn and it's exhausting and it's really fun to be able to hit a button and automatically everything is perfected. I think that's great. I also think it levels the playing field because I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on expensive photo shoots. And nowadays you can take a selfie, push a button, and it's great. It looks like a professional took it. So I use technology a lot for my social media. And AI related, I write all my own content for LinkedIn. And I tend to use like Chat GPT and things for research. So I'll type in like, hey, give me some statistics on this. And of course you have to check it, but most of the time it's pretty accurate. So I might be talking about limiting beliefs and I want to know the percentage of people that hold themselves back for perfectionism, right? Or fear of missing out, fear of failure. And they'll give me great statistics. I always ask for the research and, of course, double check it. But I find that fascinating because I used to spend hours on end researching and reading papers and checking sources to make sure that I was accurate in what I'm sharing with the world. And now it can be done in a few minutes.
Hey y'all, it's Dan Melnick, the CEO of Zing. And I wanted to share a special offer for all of our listeners. Right now, if you need software development services, we'll give you 2 weeks of a free trial. Do you need to update your website? Do you want to build a mobile app? Do you want to update something that you've been working on for a long time? We've worked in a high-level technologies like AI, machine learning, blockchain. So shoot me a text, 817-874-2208. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. AI has helped people across different verticals. So what would you say is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew before you started this business?
Great question. I wish that I would have understood how hard it would be and how committed you need to be. I didn't understand at all when I became a high performance coach that I had to do anything beyond being a high performance coach. I was so naive and I truly believed I'm going to be the best, most amazing high performance coach in the world. And by word of mouth and that's all, I guess. I don't even know. Looking back, it sounds ridiculous, but I thought that's all it took. And the reality is business development, personal branding, relationship building, networking, it takes so much more than I realized. And I laugh when I see these social media gurus, right? These self-proclaimed, oh my gosh, they made millions of dollars in 3 months. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And there are those one-hit wonder type people, but where are they at in 6 months? So if you
Right,
want to
for sure.
if you want to build a truly successful business, you have to look at it 360 degrees. It's not just about being the best in your industry. It's also about how you get the word out that you're the best in your industry. And word of mouth is nice, but with all the world online now, you really do have to have a personal brand. You really do have to get out there and do the networking, both in person and online. And you really
100%.
have to commit.
Yeah, exactly. Those things are so important. A lot of people just overlook, like, yeah, you can have a great business and, give lots of value for your clients, but if nobody knows about your business, it's very difficult to actually grow and scale. So speaking of that, if we're going to have this conversation again in 1 year from now, where do you see things going for your business?
Great question. I like your questions. I'm looking to scale and include some in-person trainings and retreats. So it goes beyond a typical retreat. I think when we hear that, we think of like a yoga retreat, like people just chilling out. But I want to do more like experiential learning, destination trainings. So you might be in Tulum and we're talking about clarity. And then we do the sweat lodge so we can like detox and release all the things that no longer serve you so you can get crystal clear. And now we have a training on clarity that's really focused and powerful because you've gone through that. Or we might be in Greece and we might be talking about courage. And now you're going to take a hike, right? Like along the coastline. That's going to demand the most of you. It's going to demand that you're resilient and that you're courageous and that you keep pushing forward. So I really want to take what I'm doing with my clients and create an experience around it. Because when we have those kind of experiences, the learning is so much deeper and richer than when we're just sitting here talking. It's nice, but then they go back to their normal day. So if you talk to me for an hour a week and I give you pointers and tasks and things to work on, that's really powerful and it works. I love what I do. I have 100% satisfaction rate. I am not kidding. I'm also very selective about my clients though. So there's a little caveat there. It's very powerful, but it's so much more powerful when you can block out the noise, get away from your day to day and immerse yourself in the experience of what's working in my life, what's not working, what's the vision I have, what's the strategy I can attach to that, and how can I go home relaxed and rejuvenated and ready to conquer the world.
Amazing. So if somebody watching this wanted to get in contact with you, reach out to you, what's the best way to get in contact? Do you mind sharing your website, social media,
Yeah.
email, whatever that is?
Yeah, so I live on LinkedIn. It's Julie Hruska, Hruska. Easy to find there. My website is powerfulleaders.com and my email is julie@powerfulleaders.com. So those are all great ways to reach out to me. I always suggest people go to LinkedIn, hit the follow button, get to know me through my content because I'm not everyone's cup of tea. High performance coaching is not for the faint at heart. I'm not that sweet little high performance coach that's going to pat you on the back and say, good job, Dan. See you next week. Keep at it. Like I'm going to get in your face. I am going to make you address the underlying issues that are holding you back. I'm going to make you face and get real and raw about your BS and all the excuses that you give for not doing what you know you need to do, because high performance coaching with me is all about results. I want to take you from here to here, and I want to do that in an accelerated way. And the only way to do that is if you have the commitment and the drive to make it happen.
Awesome. Well, Julie, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Dan. This was lots of fun. Thanks for having me. And good luck with Zing. I'm very excited to see where it goes.
Thank you so much.